Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be showing you how to land crosswind with the Cessna 172 Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now crosswind is simply going to be a wind that does not line up with your aircraft during a regular takeoff or landing situation. Now as you can see here, we have ourselves quite a significant crosswind. Now before we get into landing, it's important to note that whenever you're doing anything on the ground and you're dealing with crosswinds, make sure that your ailerons are into the incoming wind. So for example, if I wanted to do something silly, and let's say, well, we're going to take off from this position right here, I would want to make sure those ailerons stay grounded into that wind to keep my right wing down. It's really important to keep that in mind because as you're landing, you still need to maintain some directional control with the aircraft itself. So you can see that I'm cranking on that. As we start to pick up some speed, I'm going to go ahead and start backing it out a little bit. And when we finally do lift off, you're just going to kind of cancel both effects together. Now, one of the things I want to show you right away, now that we're airborne here for the purposes of demonstration, is you'll see that crosswind is pushing us very aggressively to the left. You'll also notice that I have a natural tendency to compensate for that by basically crabbing the plane in such a way that even though I'm not facing the direction I want to go, the plane is still going in the direction that I want to go. Well, let's go bring it around and get set up for the landing. Now, there are two basic philosophies when it comes to landing crosswind. The first one is going to be the crab method. The crab method simply means that you're going to take the nose of the plane. We're going to use 2 clicks of flaps instead of 3 today, by the way. Take the nose of the plane and simply point it off to the side and then let the aircraft itself basically be pushed straight where we need it to go. Now, if I pause here for a second, if you were to come down here to my G1000 display, you'll observe that this little green circle is at the end of the runway. So if I need to figure out what that magical angle is, I can just compare the end of the runway based on where my nose is. And this is the magical angle that'll get me right down onto the ground smoothly. Now, crabbing has an interesting problem that comes along with it. And this is one of the reasons why when you first start learning, crabbing is just easier because, again, I can just put that little big old 20 at the end of the runway right there on my dash, and it makes it nice and simple. We continue coming down and coming down. My new problem is, how am I going to get the plane to be straight once I settle it down on the ground so that I don't load too much pressure on my landing gear one way or the other? Now, that is where your rudders are going to come in. So I'm going to come down here, keep the crab angle, keep the crab angle, keep the crab angle. The last second, I'm going to push my right foot forward just a little bit. We're going to hold that nose up, and we're going to go ahead and get that aileron down, and now you can see we've got ourselves smoothly onto the ground just like that. Now, the interesting thing you probably noticed there is the fact that when we came down, the plane had a tendency to basically come down on one wing and not the other wing. Now, that is helpful for us because when we use our next technique, we're going to do that intentionally. All right, so now we're going to do it again, but we're going to use what they call the wing load technique. So what I'm going to do is bring in 2 clicks of flaps, just like I did before, start slowing myself down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tip my wing into the wind and push my rudder away from the wind. So what we're doing here is we're using the wing roll to keep ourselves all set up as far as lining up with the runway, not shifting left or right. And then we're using the rudder to keep the aircraft itself aligned with the center line, basically straight. So this is creating an interesting optical illusion. My airplane actually appears to be flying straight, but it's not. I'm tipped into the wind, and I'm using my rudder to keep me lined up with the runway itself. This technique is awesome because it means we're already in the correct landing attitude for the purposes of safely getting down on the ground. Now, if I come down a little bit, again, all I have to do is make some quick little adjustments as the wind shifts. Delightful. So now I'm just going to go pull my throttle back. We're going to use the right wing, and we're going to keep the right wing down, and we're just going to use our feet to keep everything straight. Right wing down, and you can see how much smoother of a landing approach that is. Now, as you can see, the crab method is really good initially, but that little method of tipping that wing into the wind and using your rudder to keep straight really makes a difference as far as making it stable. Now, you're sitting here going, well, that was pretty cool. Didn't you say earlier that the Cessna 172 has a limit to how much of a crosswind it can handle? And now the answer is the plane might not have a limit until you get to really, really high winds, but usually the pilot has the limit. So right now we were sitting there at that 15-knot crosswind, which is the max demonstrated crosswind, but that doesn't make for good YouTube. So what we're going to do is we're going to double that. We're going to go all the way up to 30 knots of crosswind, which is a fabulous amount of wind. I do not recommend this. I've had some very fun experiences in the real world. Let's see what this looks like on the approach. Now we're coming in here, we're doing about 90 knots right now. And as you can see, my nose is way off to the right. That's about a 15-degree angle right now. And the other thing you'll notice is I'm doing about 85. I'm coming in pretty darn hot here. Just like we did before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring in 2 clicks of flaps. The reason we're not using all 3 is it's going to make it a little bit easier. The other thing we're going to do, which is a little different, and by the way, notice as we slow down, I have to increase the angle even greater here. But you can see right there in the bottom how easy it is to use our little flight path vector to keep us lined up there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to keep our speed up substantially. We need every bit of control we can possibly manage. And the slower we go, the more we're going to have to basically control. So now you have 2 problems. You're going to have to balance the need to come in slow to touch down softly, and you're going to have to balance that against the need to be able to basically control the plane and keep it on the runway. As I was mentioning before, you've got to make sure you keep that aileron into the wind. So we're going crab. We're going to switch from crab, and we're going to go over to wing low. There we go. There's my wing low. And again, my left rudder is up pretty far. There we go. All right, let's bring it down to idle. All right, keep that right wing down. Keep the right wing down. You're going to try to get the right foot first. Right foot first. Right foot first. Right foot first. Whee! That was fun. Whoa! I had to earn that one. As you can see, that is incredibly dangerous. Oh, I can't get the aileron any harder into the wind there. But as you can see, the big problem there was after we already set down on the ground, trying to maintain that lateral stability is very, very hard. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit with your crosswind landings. And as always, enjoy.